When it comes to technique, there are three main things to focus on. Focus on how it impacts your hands. How do your hands feel? Focus on how it sounds, and then you can focus on how it impacts your speed. How does this impact your hand? You want to be able to play for a lifetime, most likely, as opposed to only for like a few years. So you want to make sure that you are not playing in a way that is going to give you like tendonitis, carpal tunnel, etc. Which is why I do like the stretch and massage stuff at the start of these streams. How does it sound? We want to make it so that you have a nice resonant sound, most likely, with whatever it is you're playing, unless you're playing like staccato or something like that. You want to make it so that you get the best possible sound out of your drum that you can. Okay, so what technique is going to do that? Well, if you're pinching off your stick, it's going to make it sound nice and closed, but if you're more relaxed, then it's going to be a much more full or open sound. And the last thing is you want to think about how the technique kind of impacts the speed. You want to make sure that you are able to play at the speeds you want to be able to play at, and you're not just so relaxed that you can only play stuff at like 80 beats per minute. Again, learn from many different people because there's many different ways that you can play. My technique is a combination of many different individual rolls, maybe sound like this, where the second note is too quiet. There's a couple of ways that you can work on that. You can play on like a softer pad. So this one is a little bit harder, play on something softer. If you don't have another pad, then you can get a towel, whatever you want. If you go like 2 layers like it is right now, fold it over it. This makes it so that you're gonna have to work more for those notes, especially the second note. And the more you fold it over, so now we've got 4 layers on this, the more you're gonna have to work and build up those chops and whatnot. I'm also using heavier sticks. So with these heavy sticks, it makes it so that I have to use a lot more of my muscles while doing this. So this is going to force you to build up those chops. Blue Devil's 99 chopping spree is pretty neat. It has a bunch of float variations. And a cool book report pattern right here. Visit the link on the screen to check out this play along. Whenever you're working on technique and you're trying to refine something where you've had maybe years of like a bad habit, it's going to take months, if not years, to actually like focus on it and to improve it over time before it becomes a new good habit, ideally speaking. So if you're playing through it and you notice after like an hour, you switch back to the bad habit, don't be hard on yourself. This is literally going to take like months of deliberate practice to retrain your brain to think of it in a new way so it doesn't go back into those other habits. This is basically that muscle memory idea. So you're going to have to get rid of that old muscle memory and get a new one, even though it's not actually memories in the muscle. It's just kind of a vernacular way of talking about it. So don't give up. Drum instructors are impatient. Here's why. Most drum instructors, when they give you some kind of correction, they want you to fix it like immediately. And that's not realistic, especially if you've been playing for an extended period of time. So like I've played for 25 years and I might have some habits that are bad habits that are going to take multiple years or maybe even months of just sitting and refining that to get it to make it sound better, feel better, look better, whatever it is that I'm trying to improve. My right hand looks great. My left hand does not because I marched traditional for years. And even though I know exactly what I'm supposed to do, it's not executing it as well as my right hand. Why? Because I need time to continue to refine it. Give some time for students to be able to kind of like work through their inconsistencies and mistakes. Don't expect that somebody who has a habit that's been a bad habit for years or maybe only even months to all of a sudden be able to fix it. That's just being impatient and doesn't understand how people actually learn. So my first drum teacher took lessons from him when I started drumming in 8th grade. My second year of actual full-time teaching, when I was teaching general music and band at the elementary level, I ended up teaching his kids. So it's just kind of like a small little like circle of drums where he taught me how to drum and then I taught his kids how to drum. So it's kind of fun. The way that I was able to get faster, I actually take like exercises like this and I slow it all the way down to 20. And I just focus on staying as relaxed as possible, going up 1 click at a time. Makes it so that you can really refine your technique. And so by practicing slow, it actually makes it so that you get faster in the long run because you are refining your technique and staying as relaxed as possible and as loose as possible. So I spend my time, majority of my streams when I'm actually working on technique and not just dropping out, working on the slow stuff. And then at the end of the practice sessions on the technique ones, I will then play something as fast as I possibly can to kind of push my hands to go faster than I should. So I'm finding these breaking points on here. Like, let's say my maximum is 100. I will go at like 105. It'll completely crash and burn, and it'll make it so that my hands and my brain are trained to play and think a little bit faster than they currently can. You should spend probably like 80 to 90% of your time slow. The last like 5 to 10%. If 110 is your breaking point, try it at 115. There have been some studies that I've seen where they took some athletes and they like practiced like a shot, like a basketball shot or something. And so they had one group that practiced the actual shot, like physically did it. And then they had another group that mentally practiced it. And the more lifelike the visioning was of it, like mentally kind of like rehearsing it, like they actually got like muscle twitch and whatnot while they were doing this. Like they like felt the ball in their hand even though they weren't physically doing anything, and they could like kind of like have some muscle movements while they were actually mentally practicing the shot. Is about 80% as effective as physically practicing the shot. So if you are practicing this stuff, practice it mentally as well, and practice it mentally faster than what you can play physically, and see if it kind of gives you a physiological response in terms of tightening up your shoulders and things like that. That can be a way that you can practice this without actually like physically doing this in a way that might cause some strain and whatnot. When you're working with like kindergarten level, so like 4, 5, 6-year-olds, etc., is to just like try and like have fun and like make games out of the playing, and just know that their attention span is very short. So you might be able to spend 2 to 3 minutes on something, and then you need to shift over to something else, and then you can go back to something. One of the things that you can do is like alternate between like, okay, we're going to do something for fun, and then we're going to do something that we're going to say is fun, but is really kind of refining something. And we'll do that for maybe a shorter amount of time, and then jump back to the fun thing that you know that they really like to do. But usually playing along to music for at least drum kit, for kids, that one's an exciting thing to do. But treating things as challenges or as games or things like that makes it a little bit easier for them to pay attention for the rest of the lesson. Also, just shorter lessons. Like I normally would do hour lessons like for my own, but for like kids, maybe 30 minutes at most. Off the right. Off the left. Whee! Hey, it's my face. I know them. Their name's Jared. I can't subscribe to myself. That's unfortunate. All 500 of these variations, jaredollery.com/drum. And they'll keep you busy for a while, as well as a bunch of technique and chop stuff. Which, speaking of, let's chop out. But you can find this framework in my YouTube playlist on the home tab, or if you go to the link at the top of the screen, it's underneath the chop exercises. There's over 40 chop exercises. There's a bunch of drum kit charts. There's like over 50 of those. There's several hundred grid variations and over 60 different technique exercises. New one adding every single day to help you with your practicing, playing, etc. All that fun stuff.